Hello everyone, I'm Loganathan from Loga QA Automation channel, and in this video we will see what is Lambda function and how we can use it in Python, and also what is higher order function in Python and how can we create higher order functions in Python. Okay, so the left table is all about Lambda function and then the right table is all about the higher order function. So first of all, what is Lambda function? Lambda function in other languages you might have heard like arrow function or throwaway function or anonymous function. All those are you might have heard, right? Lambda functions. So I'll cover them in Python way so that you can easily relate to it. Let me go there. Even if you've not heard about it in other languages, that is completely fine. Let's create our first package file, Python package, and I'll name it as Lambda, and here I'll create my first Python file named as test01. Cool. Let me write a simple function first. Say function def test, and here I'm going to pass a value a, and then I'm going to print it. And if I want to call this, so how can I call it? I'll need to call this as test of 10. So what is going to happen when I execute it? It's going to print 10. All right. So there is another way we can call this function. How can we call? In case I want to put this function into variable, how can I do it? So before that, instead of test of 10, if I try to print test, what's going to happen? Let's see. If I try to print this test, what is going to happen? It simply says it's a function test at this particular address. So let me explain it further. Print of ID of test. We all know that ID will print the memory location of any data type, correct? So let me run this. So now you see that this is also a memory, right? In Python, say a test is created. This is the function test, and inside which some lines of code is returned, but this is having a memory. What is it? This ends with 320, correct? XXXX something, and then 320. So this is the way Python handles it. Since this is acting like a variable, what I can do, I can assign it to another variable. So instead of test, I'm going to say this time that my Loganathan is equal to test. What is happening? This test gets assigned to my name. What I'm going to do is, instead of calling test, I'm going to call Loganathan and then pass a value 10. Let's see what is happening. It prints 10. If I pass 100 or 200, it is going to print 200. Though I have not defined a function with the name Loganathan, it is still printing this 200. The reason is this variable Loganathan is now pointing to the address where the test was pointing to. So if I want to pictorially represent, this is how it is, right? So it is the line of code, and this is the name that I'm giving, test, and then this has an address, and now I'm creating another variable Loganathan, and then when I say it is equal to test, what is it actually doing? It is putting this address in this Loganathan, correct? So these both variables are pointing, the names are pointing to this address. That is the reason when I'm saying Loganathan 200, it goes to this address, it understands this is a function and it has to behave in this manner, and it is printing 200. So far clear? Good. So next I'll move on to Lambda. So how can we move to Lambda? Now the same thing I'm doing, Loganathan is equal to, I am going to mark it as Lambda. This is the keyword, and then the first one is argument. So arg. So here a is argument, right? It's argument colon, then return statement is what I need to write. So print a, print arg. Okay, so let me run this. So I'll comment this now, or I'll delete this. Now I need to call Loganathan, correct? call Loganathan with 10. I run this. What happened? It is again printing 10. I'll put 200. What is it going to do? It is going to print 200. So from here, what do you understand? Let me change it, because if it is my name, you may not understand it. Understand that this is a test. It's a variable. In this variable, I am assigning a function, and then I'm calling this function using the variable name with the parameter 200. But the function is, last time it was the another function name. This time I'm completely defining the function in one line by calling the keyword lambda. So lambda, the syntax for lambda is it has to start with the word lambda, and then it should have arguments or argument list. It can have one argument or it can have multiple argument, then colon, and then return statement. Okay, it should be the return statement after the colon. So this is what I've done. So return, it doesn't return anything, it simply prints. So that's why you see 200. What is the condition here? We cannot have multi-line or multi-return statements in lambda. Okay, so what does it mean? For example, I have a function to add. Okay, say def sum function, and this takes two arguments, a comma b, and then it returns a plus b. And when I'm calling this, say let me put it in result is equal to sum function 10 comma 20, and I'm printing result. Cool. So what is it going to do? 10 plus 20 will be 30. That will be returned. So 30 is printed. Now I don't want to create a function, name the function as sum function, and then do the operation, because it has only one return statement inside it. So in that case, I can straight away jump into my lambda. So what I'll do, result underscore 01 is equal to lambda. What are the arguments? A comma b, colon. What should be the return value? A plus b. Now let's print, let's print result of. So now this result 01 becomes what? The name of the function, lambda function. Result underscore 01, I'll be putting say 40 comma 80. So that answer is 120. Let me save this and run this, and it prints 120. So instead of defining a function and then returning the calculated value or modified value, you can put everything in one line. When can you do it? When you have only one return statement inside the function definition. So this is called lambda function. So if you understand it, this is a variable where we are assigning this function. Just like I've shown in the previous example, I created a function, and then that function name I assigned to another variable. So this lambda function doesn't have any name, correct? This lambda function doesn't have any name. This can be assigned to result underscore 01, this can be assigned to Loganathan, this can be assigned to your name, but this doesn't have a name. That is why this is called anonymous function also. So anonymous means doesn't have any name, right? So this lambda can be considered as anonymous function or can be considered as lambda function. And one more name generally people say is throwaway function, throwaway function. The reason why it is called as throwaway function is it is short-lived, right? Only once we are using and then we are not using it anymore. So it is very short-lived, so use and throw kind of a function. That's why this is called throwaway function too. So this is about lambda function. With this said, I'll move on to higher order function. But I'll show you the practical example where we will use lambda functions in the next videos, in the upcoming videos. But right now, let's focus on what is lambda function and how can we create lambda function. And similarly, what is higher order function and how can we create higher order function. All right. So let me move to the next test file, test02. And then here I'll write the higher order function. How can I write? Let me see. So let me create the function def add So add is going to take two variables, a comma b, and what is it going to do? Return, or let me print it, print a plus b. Okay, so now I can call this function. How can I call? Add of 3 comma 2. So what is it going to do? It is going to print 5, right? So now you know this add can be put in a variable, right? So let me create a variable where is equal to, variable is equal to, I'll say add. So what will happen? This variable now becomes add. Now I'm going to create a function. Okay, I'll say that func math func. Okay, func math func, and this is going to take 3 arguments, a comma b comma c, and then this, what the first one is going to be my function, and then the next two will be my arguments to the function. Okay, so now what am I going to do is I'm going to call this math function, and I'm calling this math function, I'm going to pass this variable comma and then two values. What are the values? Say 4 comma 5. So now when the control comes here, let me run this first. So it is printing 9 because 4 plus 5 is 9. Let me explain it. So when the control comes here, what will happen? The variable will go to a, the 4 will go to b, and then 5 will go to c. The a is a function here, right? So a is getting called. What is getting called? Var of b comma c, right? That is what is getting called. What is getting called? Var of b comma c. But we already know what is var. Var is equal to add. Add is nothing but this function, right? So this is nothing but add of b comma c. So add of b comma c. What is the value for b comma c? 4 comma 5. So add of 4 comma 5. So nothing but it is printing 9. So that's why you're seeing 9 here, right? That's why you're seeing 9. All right. So let me clean this up and then I'll explain one more time. Maybe this time I'll make it a little simple. Say there is a function. Let's call this as function 1. Def func 01, and this says print function 1. Okay, so this is function 1, and there is a function 2. What will this function 2 do is, it will simply take an argument. What is the argument it will take? It will take function arguments, func arg, and when the function argument comes, it will simply call that argument, call that function. Okay, next what am I going to do? I'm going to call this function 2. When I'm calling this function 2, I'm going to pass this function 1, right? So this function 1 goes here, and then inside the function 2, the function 1 gets called. So when I run this, it's going to print function 01. You see? So again, I'll explain with tracing. So when the cursor or the control comes here, function 2 will get called. Function 2 is this. Function 2 will get called with function 01. So function 01 goes here, and then that goes here, and then function 01 gets called, right? Func 01 of called. What is func 01? That is this. What it does, it is printing func 01. It prints. That's all. So this is very simple. When you understand, when you simply trace this, you can get the logic behind it. It is nothing but calling a function inside a function, but that function should come as an argument. This is called higher order function. So here you see higher order function, right? Higher order function is nothing but a function which takes another function as an argument and then it calls that argument function inside the function definition. That is what is called as higher order function. And you have already seen one example. I'll slightly expand it and then close this video. In the next videos, I'll help you out to understand where exactly you can use that function, higher order function. Okay, say you have one with add and another def where you have multiplication. Okay, mult, and this again takes a comma b, and then here it is going to print a cross b. Nice. So what am I going to do? I'll have one function, math function, and it will accept func argument and then a comma b. Okay. So now this math function can be called with add comma 1 comma 2 or 3 comma 5. And the same math function can be called with mult 3 comma 5. You see, first time it prints 8, second time it prints 15 because 3 plus 5. First time for this math function add is going as a function argument. So what will do, add of 3 comma 5 will get executed. Add of 3 comma 5 is 8. So that's why 8 is printed. Next time in the math function mult is getting in. So when multiplication of 3 comma 5 is happening, mult of a comma 3 comma 5, this gets called. And then when this gets called, it multiplies and prints. So that's why it prints 15. You get it? So this is nothing but usage of higher order function. So you have two functions, regular ordinary function, and then those two functions are passed as argument to another function, which is nothing but the higher order function, and here it is math function. And depending on the function which you are passing, the operations are going to happen, and accordingly you will see the results. All right, that's about higher order function, and in JavaScript they'll call it as callback function. Okay. Fine. So in this video we have covered what is higher order function and also what is lambda function. So practice this so that when I get to the next video with practical examples, you will be able to easily relate to them. All right. Thank you so much for watching this video. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing. Take care. Bye.